We are discussing the Seerah of Musa alayhi salam, and today we will see that how the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has talked with the Musa alayhi salam, the conversation of the Musa alayhi salam with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has which signs and which ayahs Allah has given to Musa alayhi salam. Inshallah, we will be discussing these two topics. So firstly, we will see that Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. فلما قضى موسى الأجل وسار بأهله آنس من جانب طور نارا قال لأهلهم كثوا إني آنست نارا لعلي آتيكم منها بخبر أو جذذة من النار لعلكم تصطلون. So we see that in Surah Al-Qasas, Musa alayhi salam was going back to the Egypt from the Madian, and on his way he is talking to his family that towards the Tur he has seen a nar, and he is talking to his family that let me go to there so that I can find, let me go to that direction so that I will bring something for you. Also in the Surah Taha, we see that the words of the words that Musa alayhi salam is in Surah Taha. Also, we see that the Musa alayhi salam has seen a nar, and he's talking with his family. And Surah An-Naml, in these surahs, we see that the Musa alayhi salam has seen a nar, and he is talking with his family that let me go there so that I can bring something for you. So before going towards the Tur, he was totally unaware that which matter is going to be came now in front of which mission he has to spend now his rest of his life. So what the voice that he said that he listened was فَلَمَّا أَتَاهَا نُودِيَ يَا مُوسَى. So Allah is saying, indeed, I am Allah, and there is no God but me. So worship me, and so worship me. Inni ana rabbuka fakhla na'alaik. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is calling the Musa alayhi salam. In the ayah number 11, we see that Allah is calling Musa alayhi salam. In Surah Taha, we see that this is the in this ayah, the word is just that Allah has called the Musa alayhi salam. And in Surah Al-Qasas, we see that فَلَمَّا أَتَاهَا نُودِيَ مِنْ شَاطِ الْوَادِ الْأَيْمَنِ فِي الْبُقْعَةِ الْمُبَارَكَةِ مِنَ الشَّجَرَةِ أَنْ يَا مُوسَى إِنِّي أَنَا اللَّهُ رَبُّ الْعَالَمِينَ. Here we see that there is an explanation of the voice, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has called Musa alayhi salam. And in Surah An-Naml, again we see there is a bit more explanation that فَلَمَّا جَاءَهَا نُودِيَ أَنْ بُورِكَ مَنْ فِي النَّارِ وَمَنْ حَوْلَهَا وَسُبْحَانَ اللَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ يَا مُوسَى إِنَّهُ أَنَا اللَّهُ الْعَزِيزُ الْحَكِيمُ. So in these three surahs, we see the manner in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has called Musa alayhi salam. So now I will present the explanation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has called Musa alayhi salam, and we see in the Surah Al-Qasas that the nar that Musa alayhi salam has seen, that is from the that is in a valley, that is in the sacred valley, and that voice is from a tree. He has listened a voice, and also he has seen a nar that was from a tree, min ash-shajarati. The word that is used here is that min ash-shajarati. So Musa alayhi salam has seen a nar from that tree. And what we see that how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has introduced himself. What was the first introduction of Allah to the Musa alayhi salam? So Allah is introducing himself that Inni anallahu Rabbul Alameen. I am your Lord, Rabbul Alameen. And here we see that in Surah An-Naml, Allah is introducing himself that وَسُبْحَانَ اللَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ Ya Musa innahu anallahu al-aziz al-hakim. So these are the Subhan, the Rabbil Alameen, Al-Aziz and Al-Hakim. Allah is introducing himself with these names. So there's a reason that these attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are here. We know that the Subhan means, the word Subhan comes from the root word Sin Baha, Sabaha means to move swiftly, to glorify. So Subhanallah means glory be to Allah. Means Allah, it is the Allah who is free from any imperfection or defect. The voice that Musa alayhi salam has heard, that voice was the voice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Musa alayhi salam does not have any kind of doubt in his mind and in his heart. The reason for that is that, first of all, Allah is saying, Anallahu, I am your Lord. And Allah is mentioning his attribute, Subhan, that the glory be to Allah, he is the perfect one. And he is free from any kind of imperfection or defect. And he is the Rabbul Alameen. Also, in the verse number 9, we see the attributes that Allah is mentioning about himself is Al-Aziz and Al-Hakim. So the Al-Aziz means the one full of strength, the one that has the power, the one that is the Almighty. And Al-Hakim means that the one who has the wisdom, who has the perfect knowledge, who has the perfect judgment and the complete wisdom. And later, when we see that the signs that Allah has granted to Musa alayhi salam, these signs are directly linked with these attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here is just that how Allah is introducing himself to Musa alayhi salam. Then Allah is saying, Inni ana rabbuka fakhla na'alayk. So Allah is saying that put off your sandals. So why Allah has told to Musa alayhi salam to put off the sandals? So it's that Musa alayhi salam was in the Innaka bil wadi al-muqaddasi tuwa. He was in the sacred valley, and the reason that Allah is telling to Musa to put off the sandals is that so that the Musa alayhi salam will be able to absorb completely the divine knowledge, because Musa alayhi salam has now reached in a sacred valley, and that valley is now a sea of knowledge, a sea of the divine. Allah is now going to grant Musa alayhi salam a divine knowledge, and Allah wants that Musa alayhi salam will be free from any kind of we can say that any kind of the worldly affairs. So that's why this is one of the reason. So that Allah is, that's why he's telling, he wants that Musa alayhi salam will put off his sandals. In the ayah number 13, Allah is saying that وَأَنَا اخْتَرْتُكَ وَأَنَا اخْتَرْتُكَ فَاسْتَمِعْ لِمَا يُوحَى. So this ayah is a great proof for us that the meaning of this ayah is that it is the Allah who has chosen Musa alayhi salam. So Allah is saying, and I have chosen you. In this indicates that it is only the Allah, the Most High, who choose someone for his mission. Before going to that sacred valley, Musa alayhi salam even don't know that now for the rest of his life he has to spend on a mission. And that was not Musa alayhi salam himself has not demanded that, okay, oh Allah, please choose me your prophet. But it was Allah, wa anakhtartuka. It is Allah who has chosen Musa alayhi salam. And what Allah is telling to Musa alayhi salam, فاستمع لما يوحى. So listen to what is revealed. So these words contain the ultimate majesty. Because now the Musa alayhi salam has to listen uh, completely to what Allah is going to tell to him. So Allah, with these words, Allah is preparing completely the mind and the thoughts of Musa alayhi salam, that whatever is going to deliver to him, he has to listen to him. So these فَاسْتَمِعْ لِمَا يُوحَى, these two words are actually describing the human disposition. There is a fascination in it. وَأَنَا اخْتَرْتُكَ, that Allah has chosen him. So it's a great fascination. But on the next word, Allah is telling that now you have to listen to what is revealed to you. So I find a very beautiful human disposition in the very simplest words, that Allah has chosen him, and along with He's telling him that now you have to listen. So here we can see that what is the fascination and what is the fear. So whenever there is a fascination, and whenever along with that fascination there is also a fear. So now Musa alayhi salam has to be very careful that he is on the way of Allah, so he has to be careful. To be chosen doesn't mean that okay, he can do anything. To be chosen means that now he has to be more careful towards the responsibility that Allah is going to grant to him. And in ayah number 14, innani anallahu la ilaha illa ana fa'budni wa aqimis salata li dhikri inna as-sa'ata atiyatun akadu ukhfiha litujza kullu nafsin bima tas'a. So another beautiful explanation of that, how Allah is telling Musa alayhi salam that what he needs to do now. He has to be an abd of Allah. He has to establish the salah for the remembrance of Allah, and Allah is telling him that the that the time that will came, and ukhfiha, Allah did not tell him, Allah has not tell him, Allah has not tell anyone about that time. And every nafs and all the nafs will be granted about what they have uh, about what they have tried in their lives. So this is a recap from the previous session. This is what we were discussing, that what was the talk of how the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has called Musa alayhi salam. And now we will see that which signs Allah has granted to Musa alayhi salam. Anyone who want to participate something, or you can raise hand if someone wants to add something to the discussion. You can raise hand and take the mic. Or any questions? Okay, this is something from the recap, and now we will see that which signs Allah has granted to Musa alayhi salam. Again, these are the three surahs: Surah Taha and Suratul Qasas and Suratul Namal. Yes, in these ayahs, Allah has explained about the signs that Musa alayhi salam was being blessed with. So Allah is asking, Wama tilka bi yaminika ya Musa? And what is in your right hand? He said, it is my staff. I lean upon it, and with it I beat down branches for my sheep, and I have therein other uses. The verse 18, the 17 and 18. وما تلك بيمينك يا موسى؟ قال هي عصاي أتوكأ عليها وأهش بها على غنامي ولي فيها مآرب أخرى. So here is Allah has asked a question that what is in your hand? So, and Musa alayhi salam is explaining the advantages and the thing that he has in his hand, that I have my stuff, I lean upon it, and with it I beat down the branches for my sheep, and I have therein other uses. So Allah said, Qala alqiha ya Musa. So Allah says that, O Moses, O Musa, throw it down. فَأَلْقَهَا فَإِذَا هِيَ حِيَّةٌ تَسْعَى. So he threw it down and قَالَ خُذُوهَا وَلَا تَخَفْ. So he threw it down and behold it. It was a snake darting about. He said, seize it and fear not. سَنُعِيدُهَا سِيرَتَهَا الْأُولَى. We will restore it to its former state. So this is the explanation of the first sign, first ayah that Allah has granted. Because Allah has used this word in the ayah number 23, لِنُورِكَ مِنْ آيَاتِنَا الْكُبْرَى. These were the signs. The in ayah number 16, 17, 19, 18, 19, and 20, this one. And we will see the Yade Baida, that these were the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he has granted to Musa alayhi salam. And in Surah Al-Qasas, we see that كأنها جان ولا مدبرا ولم يعقب يا موسى أقبل ولا تخف إنك من الآمنين. There is the explanation of what is going to happen with that stuff that Musa alayhi salam, that was in the use of Musa alayhi salam. And also in Surah An-Naml, وَأَلْقِ عَصَاكَ فَلَمَّا رَآهَا تَهْتَزُّ كَأَنَّهَا جَانٌّ وَلَّىٰ مُدْبِرًا وَلَمْ يُعْقِبْ يَا مُوسَىٰ لَا تَخَفْ إِنِّي لَا يَخَافُ لَدَيَّ الْمُرْسَلُونَ. So here is uh, the the explanation. The again we can say the conversation that is going on between the Allah and Musa alayhi salam. So the first thing is that Allah has asked the question, what is in your right hand? It was a question. It was not for the purpose that Allah wants to seek some kind of knowledge, but it is because Musa alayhi salam was in the sacred valley, and he has just saw a big sign. He has seen a nar. He has seen the voice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, and now Allah knows that I am going to grant my prophet with a bigger sign. So just to restore his state of mind, Allah is asking the question. Just like most of the time and also Allah is asking that, oh, what do you do with it? And just like someone that when we want to show something superior to someone, we used to ask, okay, what do you have with you? And the person told her, okay, I have such and such thing with me. So Allah knows that I am going to grant a superior, something that is very superior to my prophet. So that's why he's asking that, okay, tell me, what do you have in your hand? And Musa alayhi salam is telling that he's very casual about it, that it is my stuff, and I use it uh, for for some purposes. So now Allah is telling to Musa alayhi salam that قال ألقاها يا Musa. So he's saying that, oh Moses, throw it. And Musa alayhi salam, he obviously he has thrown it, and then what happened? That stuff was converted into a snake. In the Suratul Qasas, we see that كأنها جان ولا مدبرا. And in Suratul Naml, we see that وألقى عصاك فلما رآها تهتز كأنها جان ولا مدبرا. So in from the combination of these three surahs, the explanation that we can establish is that Allah has converted the stuff into the snake, and the snake at that time, the movement of that snake was it was like a jannun wala mudbiran. It was like a jinn. The word that is used is annaha jannun wala mudbiran. I mean, the speed of that snake was like that it's a jinn. So the Musa alayhi salam got a little bit afraid that what's going on. So he was a little bit astonished. It was a natural fear because Musa alayhi salam is now seeing another thing. He has just seen a transformation that he has just heard a divine speech. Allah has talked with Musa alayhi salam, and Allah has shown to Musa alayhi salam something familiar, and then there is another sign, not another, but the first sign that Allah is going to grant to Musa alayhi salam so that he will be prepared. But when the Musa alayhi salam saw that snake, he was a little bit in the state of fear. So Allah is saying that La takhaf means don't be afraid. Qala khudha wa la takhaf wa la takhaf. And in this surah also, Allah is saying, وَلَمْ يَقِبْ يَا مُوسَى أَقْبَلْ وَلَا تَخَفْ إِنَّكَ مِنَ الْآمِنِينَ. And also in Surah An-Naml, Allah is saying that لا يخاف sorry guys لا يخاف لدي المرسلون, that don't be afraid, I am with the messengers. So the Musa alayhi salam has consoled by the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again that there is no need to be fear of this snake. I have to take it. A very practical lesson that we can derive from this ayah is that so there is a transformation for that snake. Allah has converted an inanimated thing into a living thing, because the speed of that snake was like a jinn, and Musa alayhi salam also got a bit afraid that what is this? And now the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has consoled Musa alayhi salam that la yakhaf, Allah's support will be his messengers. So Musa, Allah is saying that qala khudha wa la takhaf, take it and don't be afraid. So Musa alayhi salam took that snake. There's a question that whether Musa alayhi salam has took that snake, or he has, or he waits for let's convert it to its original condition and then I will take it. So he hasn't wait. He take that snake. So there's a very big lesson. There is a practical lesson for us here in this ayah as well. Sorry. That we have to dive into our own fear to get the victory. So Musa alayhi salam also dive into his fear. The fear that initially he had was a natural fear. But when Allah told him that La takhaf, it's not only that it's a special, though he was on a great mission, so obviously the Allah will have a special support with him. But it is also for us. I have also noticed that if I have a fear of something, and when I dive into that fear, then after that the victory will come. And from this sign that Allah has granted to Musa alayhi salam, in the conclusive remarks, we will see that why Allah has granted these two great signs, Ayatin al-Kubra, why these two signs Allah has granted to the Musa alayhi salam. Also, there is a question that, yes, what was the wisdom that Allah has turning the stuff into a snake at that time? And also the purpose of that staff was not only to turning it into a snake, but later on, the Musa alayhi salam also granted with other ayahs through this stuff. Like he has, the Musa alayhi salam has apart the sea with this stuff, and also when he was with the Bani Israel in the desert, in that desert with this stuff, there Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has splashed the 12 springs. So the there are the other signs as well that Allah has granted to Musa alayhi salam through this stuff. So we will, in the conclusive remarks, I will explain that why these two signs has granted to Musa alayhi salam. So another thing is that, uh, yeah, let's move on that the Musa alayhi salam don't feared and he take the stuff, and then it was converted back into its original state. سَنُعِيدُهَا سِيرَةَ الْأُولَى. When he take the staff, then Allah has converted that snake into its original position, and that was the wood. That was simply a piece of wood. And Musa alayhi salam seen that transformation. It was originally a piece of wood. It was just a piece of wood, nothing. The Musa alayhi salam just use it in his casual, in his casual chores. But Allah has converted it into a bigger sign. And Musa alayhi salam took that sign, and then Sanu'iduha Siratul Ula. After that, Allah has converted that snake into its original condition. So I find a very, I was just like, I was thinking about these two ayahs, about this ayah, the ayah number 21, that how this ayah is a totally practical lesson for us, totally. That the Bani Israel, even those people also have a lesson here. They were afraid of snake, they were afraid of the kingdom of the Pharaoh. And what was the reality of that kingdom of Pharaoh? It was nothing. It was just like the snake turned back to its original condition. It was just turned back to a piece of wood. But just like when the Musa alayhi salam took that snake, then it was converted to in its original state. Similarly, now the Bani Israel have to take the steps. Once they will dive into their fear, once they overcome, once they took the responsibility that yes, we are ready, we remove the fear from our hearts, and we will took this kingdom, the fake kingdom, the fake we have to challenge this fake god Pharaoh. Then Allah has converted the whole thing back to its original condition. The Bani Israel, they were the children of the prophets, but they in their state of mind, they just think that they have just made their psychology that this kingdom is like a very bigger thing. They were not challenging that kingdom. So that's why this stuff, the asa of Musa alayhi salam, has a very greater sign in it, that look, that how Allah is converting a wood into a great living being, and how it is turned back to its original position. But when the humans have to take the responsibility, they have to take over their own fears, then Allah will be there to help them. In the next ayah, Allah is telling, ayah number 22, وَضْمُمْ يَدَكَ إِلَى جَنَاحِكَ تخرج بيضاء من غير سوء آية أخرى. So, and put your hand into your side. It will come out white without disease. So it is another greatest sign. So let's first discuss the word janahika. So some scholars say that the meaning of this word is that Musa alayhi salam has put his hand in the chest, But it's in the very next word, we see that takhruju. So if we took its meaning, like he has put his hand in the chest, then the explanation of this, we can't explain this word, takhruj, yani ki, means it will come out. So it will not fit with the explanation of Jinnah, with the explanation that he has put his hand in the chest. So Musa alayhi salam has put his hand in his left side. He has put his right hand in his left side, and then that hand will come out wide without any kind of disease. Min ghayri su, the whitening of the hand was not due to any kind of disease, but that was the ayatun ukhra, that was an other sign. So when Musa alayhi salam put his right hand into his left side, and that hand then come out, and then when he take out his hand, it was white. Again, the word janahika here is a representation of the covering, and in its meaning, it has a meaning of firmness and patience in it. That again, the words have the greater meaning in them, and the signs that Allah is granting to Musa alayhi salam, that signs has a deeper psychology in them. This is another sign. In the Suratul Qasas, again we see that Usluk yadaka fi jaybika takhruj bayda min ghayri su. The Musa alayhi salam put his hand on his side, and he see that it comes out white without any kind of disease. And in Suratul Namal, وَأَدْخُلْ يَدَكَ فِي جَيْبِكَ تَخْرُجْ بَيْضَاءَ مِنْ غَيْرِ سُوءٍ. So the hand come white, there is and that whiteness is a light, and that light is a representation of the divine wisdom. That white light is basically the representation of the divine knowledge. Because Allah has chosen Musa alayhi salam. Check the sequence. Then he told him that what he needs to do. Then Allah has given his introduction to the Musa alayhi salam and what he needs to do. And then the two signs that Allah has granted to him. The first sign is a symbol of the power, that now it's the time for the Bani Israel, that they need to come into power. Because once they will come into power, Allah will have them. And with what thing, if the power does not have a thing, then the power is useless. And that thing is the wisdom. So that whitening of the hand is a representation of the light. And that light is actually the representation of the divine wisdom. That the knowledge that Musa alayhi salam has been granted is a divine knowledge. So these are the signs that Allah has granted to Musa alayhi salam. And then Allah is saying that لِنُورِكَ مِنْ آيَاتِنَا الْكُبْرَى. These were the greater signs. وَذَلِكَ بُرْهَانَانِ مِنْ رَبِّكَ إِلَى فِرْعَوْنَ وَمَلَئِهِ إِنَّهُمْ كَانُوا قَوْمًا فَاسِقِينَ. So these two were the signs. The word Zanika is representing that these are the two signs that Allah has granted to Musa alayhi salam. So until here, any questions or someone wants to add anything? Then we will move on. Anyone who wants to participate in the discussion? Because these are the discussion sessions. So let's move on the conclusions then. We have something, isn't it? So I didn't get to reason behind white hand. So the white hand is a representation of the knowledge. That's it. That then because Musa alayhi salam, look in this ayah, Allah is saying that فَذَانِكَ بُرْهَانَانِ مِنْ رَبِّكَ. These two were the signs. Signs of what? A sign of power and a sign of knowledge and a divine wisdom. Because without any divine knowledge, what is the use of power if someone don't have a knowledge? Also, like saying that فَذَانِكَ بُرْهَانَانِ مِنْ رَبِّكَ. So these two were the clear signs. So the white hand is a representation of the knowledge, as per my understanding, because Musa alayhi salam has now to go to the Fir'aun, ila Fir'auna wa mala'ihi, because these were the signs that from the Rabb of the Musa alayhi salam, and now he needs to show these signs to the Pharaoh and his establishment, because they were the people who were from the Fasiqin, and they were defiantly disobedient people. So Musa alayhi salam needs something great to show them. So obviously, when he will go to the people and will tell them that, okay, Allah has chosen me, and the knowledge and the divine wisdom that I have, it is from the Lord of the universe, from the Rabbul Alameen. So those were the people. They will have a demand of something that, okay, where is the representation of this knowledge, and where is the representation of this power that you are showing to us? So I hope your question is answered. Anyone who wants to give the answer to the asked question, why there is need for it? Because Musa alayhi salam is going to address a kingdom with the Bani Israel. Bani Israel were the children of the prophets. But in our previous sessions, we have discussed that what mistakes they have made. They have made some mistakes. That's why even one of our sister has a presentation on it, that they were slaves by choice. They went into slavery by choice. They just throw that knowledge that Allah has granted to them. They didn't take the responsibility, and slowly they became slaves by choice. So now it is the time Allah has blessed those people with a prophet, and now that prophet has the sons, and those signs are enough to challenge that bigger kingdom. We also have discussed that what kind of the culture the Egyptians have, what kind of those people to whom Musa alayhi salam has to be addressed, and what kind of superpower the Pharaoh claims. He didn't claim that he was a god. His claim was that he was a living God, and it was a very deep belief system. This is a difference between the other claims and the claim of the Pharaoh. The claim of the Pharaoh that I am the living God. I will be alive even after my death. So, and inshallah, when we will be discussing the mission of Musa alayhi salam, we will see that what was the prayer of Musa alayhi salam. We all know that Musa alayhi salam, like here we see that when Musa alayhi salam will go to him have to go to the Pharaoh, what was his dialogue at that time with the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So there was a need at that time. So that's why Allah has granted to the Musa alayhi salam with those signs, with those great signs, because now he has to address these two signs also are not only for the Musa alayhi salam, but he has to go with these signs ila Firauna, to the people, to the Pharaoh, and to his establishment, and to those people who are from the Fasiqeen. So I hope so. It makes sense. Anyone who wants to add something in the question or in the discussion? Then we will move on to the conclusive remarks. Yes, there's a question again. You can take the mic. Thanks. You can take the mic. If you want to take the mic, you can. You can unmute and can speak and can add your own thoughts. Okay. So Allah has chosen Musa alayhi salam. So it's clear that messengers are chosen by Allah. As Allah mentions that He knows where He has to keep the Risala. Because we have also discussed it in one of our session on the Itmam Hujjah, that how Allah has uh, chosen the people, or chosen the this Risala, that where now He has to keep it. As He has selected the Ibrahim alayhi salam from all the humanity, and then from Ibrahim alayhi salam, how Allah has chosen the Bani Israel first, and then the Bani Ismail. So it is the Allah who knows that where He has to keep His Risala. Also, Allah specifically mentioned the staff of Musa alayhi salam, because as I have discussed it before, that what Musa alayhi salam has to do with that stuff, and what kind of sign the stuff was. And there is a tamthil in this stuff. The lost kingdom, just we have discussed it, that now the Bani Israel has to take over that lost kingdom. So it's very clear, I think, that now, just like Allah can convert, Allah can transform a piece of wood into a living snake, the snake whose wrath is like, whose dart is like a jinn. Initially, the Musa alayhi Islam thought that it's like a jinn. Ka'annaha, the word ka'annaha is used. And then when he has the presented in front of the magicians, it was like a thoban. And also that stuff has the greater sign, other signs with it as well. But initially, that stuff was showing that it is a sign for the Bani Israel, that how they have to take back their lost kingdom, how they have to deep dive into their own fears. And the hand, the whitening of the hand is showing the divine wisdom, that power without knowledge have no use. What we can do with the power if we don't have a knowledge? Also in these ayahs, Allah teaches the fear etiquettes of Risala in front of Allah, and the actual meaning of the Seerah is mentioned here, that from where the whole concept of Seerah could be understood. Yes, that what etiquettes Allah taught His prophets, how Allah sets the fascination and the fear, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants His prophets the missions. So these are the conclusive remarks about the staff of the Musa alayhi salam. There are the three surahs, the Surah Al-Taha, Surah Al-Qasas, and Surah Al-Namal, where it has shown the stuff as a great sign. And also the Prophet Musa mentions the utilities of the stuff. But Allah wanted to show the Musa alayhi salam that how this casual thing, how what else Musa alayhi salam can do with this asa. So it was a first ayah, and then it was combined with an other ayah, and these two were enough to topple the kingdom of the Pharaoh. These two signs were enough at that time, so that the Musa alayhi salam and the whole Bani Israel, they can take over the kingdom of the Pharaoh. And Allah showed the whole scene of the past, present, and future by the conversion of the stuff into a snake, and then snake back into the stuff. Because at that time, Musa alayhi salam is already in the kingdom of knowledge. He was in the sea of the divine knowledge. And Allah is speaking. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not, he is not bounded by any kind of dimensions, we can say. Everything, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can do everything. So these are the conclusive remarks about the signs of Musa alayhi salam. And from now on, we will be discussing the mission of the Musa alayhi salam that Allah has granted to him. On what mission he will be. So any questions, or anyone who can take the mic and can speak, because these sessions are the discussion sessions. We all are supposed here to learn from each other. So anyone, Sister Rubina, you are quiet today. You haven't added something to the discussion.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Alhamdulillah, you know, these two miracles, there are miracles, and the hand and the staff. So he's facing, Musa alayhi salam has been prepared to face the most greatest tyrant of the time. And so obviously he's giving belief, confidence, courage that he's been told to go and confront him, but he's not on his own. You know, he'll be asking help from his brother, and it's this commitment and this belief that Allah will be with him. He won't be left alone, even with his speech impediment. So it's all to do with preparation to meet with the worst evil person of the time. And he'd seen so much, he'd experienced so much, his childhood, what had happened to the Israelites, you know, every other year the boy childs were being killed, and how his mother protected him, saved him, and put him in their household, in the Pharaoh household. I was just wondering, the Pharaoh that he meets, is that the same Pharaoh? Is it the son of the Pharaoh that he meets? Because as many years of his childhood, was it a different Pharaoh that brought him up to the Pharaoh that he's now going to be talking to in the court?
Well, what about, according to my understanding, he was the same Pharaoh.
Same
Because,
Pharaoh.
yeah, because when the Musa alayhi salam were in the court of the Pharaoh, it has mentioned that the Pharaoh was leaned back on his elbow. It means he was he was Pharaoh, yeah, who can't walk, quite actively. So as per my understanding, he was the same Pharaoh. Because from here we can see that he was not an active. Active means he was not quite young, that he can move around, quickly. So he moves around on his elbow.
And,
so I think he was the same Pharaoh.
Okay, I wasn't sure. So alhamdulillah. So inshallah, you know, as the whole story is a qissas, as it unfolds, you know, we're going to be learning a lot more, and this is the next stage. I mean, we've seen, we've read how Musa alayhi salam is his whole life is changing. There's so many changes going through his life. You know how he was on his own. He traveled. He was a refugee. He came to I don't know if he was a Prophet Shuhaib al-Islam and his daughters. You know, so he's going through so many different. Now he's got a family as well, a responsibility of the family. So Allah's preparing him, inshallah. So, you know, this is one of the most lengthy, after I think Yusuf al-Islam's story, one of the most lengthiest stories in the Quran about Musa al-Islam. I think it's mentioned over several surahs. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, it's a lot to learn. Jazakallah khair for your input.
Jazakallah khair for your participation. Okay, guys, now it's already 7:54. So yeah, Maghrib time, inshallah, we will start the next part of our series, inshallah, in the next Monday. So take care of yourself, inshallah. See you guys in the next Sunday.
Sunday, yeah, Monday.
Yeah, Sunday, same time, inshallah.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi.